Hey guys, welcome back to A Little Less Lisa, where I talk about all things in relation to my current weight loss journey, and then as we move into more of a health and wellness kind of view from somebody who is in the middle of her life. So if you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Lisa. I am 57 years old, so I am in the middle of my life. And yeah, I'm just kind of on this fantastic weight loss journey right now. So if you are interested in hearing about how I have been losing weight using compounded tirzepatide, then, stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, stick around. I would love to have you here. So as I mentioned, I do take compounded tirzepatide. If you don't know what compounded tirzepatide is, but maybe you've heard about some of these drugs in the news like Ozempic or Mounjaro, things like that. Tirzepatide is the actual drug that is in Mounjaro, which is FDA approved for diabetes, and Zepbound, which is FDA approved for chronic obesity or weight loss. So both Zepbound and Mounjaro, like I said, are the same thing. They are the exact same medication, just approved for different clinical outcomes, or I should say for different diagnoses, but exact same medicine in the exact same dosing sequences, and they are both made from tirzepatide. Like that is what the actual drug component is in both of those, and those are made by Eli Lilly. Ozempic and Wegovy are basically the same thing. One's for diabetes, one's for weight loss. They are the exact same medicine, and the medicine that is in that is what is called semaglutide or semaglutide. Some people say, I don't know where the accent belongs. People say it one way or the other. And that is just a GLP-1 medication, so a GLP-1 agonist, whereas tirzepatide or Mounjaro or Zepbound are a GLP-1 agonist and a GIP medication. So there are two sort of active ingredients in the Mounjaro, tirzepatide, Zepbound versus just the one in Ozempic and Wegovy and semaglutide. Hopefully that all makes sense to try to give you a little bit of a background. I chose tirzepatide because it does have better weight loss indications. So if you look at the studies, the people that took tirzepatide had a greater percentage of weight loss. And I thought, if I'm going to be doing this, and I've struggled enough over the past couple of years being postmenopausal, I figured, why not go for the big guns? So I am using tirzepatide. It is a little bit more expensive than semaglutide in a compounded form, but it is definitely less than paying out of pocket for the branded medications, which you can't even get right now because they are in huge shortages. So with all of that background being said, let's talk today about how to handle social situations. And we're going to kind of talk about social situations that you have no control over and social situations in which you have control. So let's get started and see how we can continue to be successful on a GLP-1 medication, but still enjoying our life. So let's talk about the more difficult situation, or the ones where we have no control over the situation. And by that, I generally mean you're going to someone else's house for, let's say, a party or for dinner or for a barbecue, something like that, where you can't really control what is being served at the function, right? So, first, I guess and foremost, if you're going to someone's house, for example, perhaps you could try to offer to bring something, or if in the case that they ask you to bring something, then you obviously clearly have some control and you can pick a dish that works for your, dietary needs as far as being on a GLP-1 medication. Now, what do I mean by that in general? I mean probably something that is a little higher in protein, a little lower on carbs, a little lower on sugar, those kind of things, to be mindful of. Maybe it also means, though, just bringing a vegetable tray, something like that, that that you can eat, that's not going to be packed with a lot of sugar and carbs and things like that. But let's say the host says, "Oh, you're so sweet, but no, I don't need you to bring anything. Thanks so much." So now you have no idea what to expect, right? I mean, you could find some things that you could eat. Absolutely, right? I mean, maybe you go and they're serving a salad, or in the case of a barbecue, maybe they're serving plain hamburgers, so you could have one of those. But from my perspective, the best way to deal with those situations is to plan ahead. And here are a couple things that I would do if I were faced with that type of situation. The first thing is I would eat beforehand. So I would just plan in those situations to not really partake in the food that's being served. Now, if for chance they do have some things that you can eat, if you've eaten like an hour before you go, hopefully by the time you get to whatever time they're going to eat there, your stomach will have emptied a little bit. And so you could nibble on a few things. Like I said, if it's a barbecue, you could maybe have a couple bites of a plain hamburger, or have some raw veggies with a little ranch dip or something, or some fruit salad, something like that. But I would definitely go into it already having eaten something. So, if you're going for a barbecue and it's an afternoon kind of thing, eat your lunch before you go, right? Go with the idea that you're not going to be able to eat anything, okay? Just plan ahead, eat. You're not going to be hungry then. Like I said, if there are a few things that you could nibble on, then make yourself a little plate and, sort of take a few little bites. That way also sometimes people I think feel kind of awkward when you're not eating at all. Let me know in the comments below if you've found that, like either if you've, like I said, gone to somebody's house and maybe you've implemented the same strategy where, you eat ahead of time and they don't know that you're on this, sort of weight loss journey, or you're taking these medications, but you don't want to eat anything. My perspective, like I said, is just put a little bit on your plate of some things and, take like a polite little bite, and just like I said, so it doesn't seem like you're just literally, you don't have a plate in front of you. Now, a barbecue obviously is a little bit easier because most people just kind of walk around. You've got a plate in your hand. Maybe you go sit at a picnic table or something for a few minutes to eat, but it's not a formal sit down dinner, right? I would say if you're going to somebody's house and you're there for, more of a formal kind of meal, then like I said, then I would probably, take one little scoop or a couple bites worth of maybe 2 or 3 things that they're serving. So it makes it look like you've got some things on your plate. But honestly, when people are talking, they're not paying attention to what you're actually eating and putting in your mouth. So if you just take, like I said, a few things and put it on your plate, you're not going to offend the hostess by, them questioning, why aren't you eating anything? Why are you not taking anything? And then having to explain potentially. If you just take a few things and put it on your plate, but like I said, maybe take 1 or 2 bites, or not even really any bites at all, just kind of, move your fork around and whatever, people are going to be talking. No one's going to pay attention. Now, the second thing that I would do if I am going to be in a situation where I am not in control of what is on the menu, I can't bring anything. And this probably applies more to a less formal social situation. So like I said, maybe a barbecue, or perhaps you're, going to some kind of outdoor outing or something, you're going to the zoo with friends or things like that. And yeah, you're going to be eating lunch while you're there, but you don't really know what's going to be there, etc. Eat before. But in addition to that, bring something in your bag. So, if you are somebody who carries a purse or something like that, stick a protein bar in your bag, stick a hard-boiled egg in your bag, stick a protein shake in your bag, something higher in protein, something that you can eat. Maybe it's a package of almonds, something like that, something that is going to be, good for you, will give you some sustenance, will fill you up, but will also be, good for what your body needs. Just like I said, just have a little snack tucked in your bag. Frankly, I think it's really good wherever you are, wherever you're going, to have some kind of portable, sort of either higher protein or more healthy snack with you, just in case you get into a situation where you're out maybe longer than you anticipate and, all of a sudden you realize you haven't eaten in 5 hours and you're not going to eat for another 3 hours. Like, you need something. So I kind of always think it's good to be prepared and have something in your bag. But like I said, I think in situations where you have no control, then go ahead and stick something in your bag, or if you're somebody who doesn't carry a purse, maybe you have a little backpack with you or something, or whatever it is, maybe it's in your pocket, something, but take something with you just so if you need something and there's nothing there that you feel comfortable eating, you've at least got something that you can snack on. So let's talk about situations where you do have some control. And in general, I'm talking about when you're going to a restaurant, right? So yeah, obviously there are some restaurants that make it a little more difficult to get, some of the nutritional value and some foods that make a little more sense when you're on a GLP-1 medication. Mexican restaurants make it a little bit harder, things like that. But my biggest piece of advice here is look online and look at the menu and see what they have. Pretty much any restaurant can do like a grilled chicken breast or just a simple salad, maybe with some grilled chicken on it and the dressing on the side, so you can control what that is. But there's so many restaurants now that, sell gluten-free items and have low sodium options and low calorie options and have the calories and the nutritional content on the menu. A lot of times you can even look that up. So go, if you are using one of those food tracking apps, like I talked about in one of my previous videos, a lot of them you can go actually look up restaurants and find different food items to see, what is the nutritional value, what would be the best use of your calories for that particular meal. But I think it's a lot easier to plan ahead. Like I said, if you know where you're going, just Google the restaurant, find it. Almost every restaurant has a menu online. If they don't have a website, go to like Yelp and look up the restaurant, because most times people will have photographed the menu if they don't have, like I said, an online menu, but you'll at least be able to see what's on the menu, and then you can plan a little bit. And again, maybe if you're going to, like I said, a Mexican restaurant, which might make it a little bit harder to find things that aren't covered in sauces or things like that you're going to have a harder time tracking. And you're also probably going to be tempted by the chips. Again, eat a little something before you go, right? You never want to go into these situations hungry. Now, obviously, when you're on a GLP-1 medication, you're not really getting very hungry, but some people do, right? You're probably not experiencing maybe that sort of ferocious kind of appetite that maybe you had before, but you still may be having some of those hunger cues, and that's fine if you are, but then just eat a little bit something so that when you get to the restaurant, like I said, if you're going to a Mexican restaurant where they immediately plop onto the table a huge basket of chips and, salsa, it'll make it a little bit easier for you to, just pass the basket on to the person who's sitting next to you and not take any, because you're not sitting there hungry. And again, maybe you bring something from home to replace that, like you want to be eating. I think long gone are the days where you need to feel self-conscious about maybe bringing something to the restaurant. I remember years and years ago, I would bring like diet dressing to the restaurant, right? I knew I was going to have a salad, but I didn't want any of their like full fat loaded salad dressings. I had no idea how many calories were in them. And so, I would bring my own in a bottle, and I would remember like sort of like surreptitiously underneath the table, like taking the bottle out and like trying to get some on my salad without a whole bunch of people noticing. You know what, guys? It's 2024. Who cares what you do? You do what's best for you. So if that means, bringing a little, Tupperware container with some food in it that you can eat while everybody else is eating at that restaurant. Let's say you look ahead at the menu and you really don't see anything that you feel comfortable eating, and maybe you call the restaurant and they can't do for some reason, just like a grilled chicken breast or something very plain without a bunch of sauces. You know what? Bring something along. Who the heck cares? The final thing I wanted to touch on is sort of how do you handle social situations, especially, like I said, in either a more sort of formal, and I don't mean formal like you're in a formal gown or something. When I say formal, I mean like a sit-down meal, right? Whether it be at somebody's house or, at a restaurant, and you're out with other people that are not in your like nuclear family, right? Assuming your nuclear family knows what you're doing, but let's say, you're out with, some friends or whatever, or extended family, and they ask. I think it depends on what your comfort level is, right? Maybe you're fine with saying to them, oh, you know what, I'm just, I'm kind of watching what I'm eating, trying to be more mindful of, eating a healthier, well-balanced diet, something like that. Or maybe you're also completely comfortable telling them you're on a GLP-1 medicine and going into the whole background of what it is and how it helps you and whatnot. I think it just depends on your level of comfort. But again, I would go into these situations prepared. So if you're going into a situation with some people that honestly, you're like, you know what? They don't need to know my business. I don't feel like sharing with them. Maybe you feel like they're going to be judgmental. Or like I said, maybe you're just sort of like, you know what? I don't need to share my business with these people. Then have something in the back of your mind that you can like immediately go to as a response if you get asked, oh, why aren't you eating? Have the situation in mind in which you're going to, and then have a response planned so that you can respond to somebody if they ask you about your situation and what you're doing. Again, I think it really goes back to planning as best you can in anticipating certain situations. So hopefully these tips helped in, looking at potentially situations where you have very little control into some situations where you do have more control, and also some of those situations of dealing with some more curious people about perhaps why you're eating what you're eating. So let me know in the comments below, do you have any tips and tricks you'd like to share for social situations where, like I said, either you have no control or you have some control? And also, what are your go-to responses when somebody asks you about, they notice something different about the way you're eating or something? I would love to hear if you have any great responses to those people. So put those in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. It does help the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you here. We're building a great community here. I've had some really fantastic conversations with some of you in the comment section. I've had some great advice from some of you in the comment section. So I welcome all of that. And like I said, would love to see all of you back here for future videos. So click the subscribe button and the notification bell. I am not on sort of a true schedule for when I'm uploading on this channel. I do have another channel that I also post more regularly to. So make sure you have that notification bell turned on so you know when I upload videos. If you haven't had enough of me quite yet, there'll be another video up here for you to watch. And remember, kindness and hate spread the same, so the choice is yours. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.